Hey everyone, so today we're going to talk about this exciting itinerary that is going to happen in April. It's sort of off-season or green season Botswana. So you'll see here, so all of our guests, as they book with us, what they get is called a safari portal. And through that portal, they get all the information, the itinerary, the breakdown, everything that is needed for a trip. And I'm going to basically walk you through that and then what the information we get ahead of time, the camps we're going to visit, the itinerary that we're going to follow, and this is all going to be privately guided by yours truly. So we will arrive in Botswana in about mid-April or so. We're spending 3 nights in the Makgadikgadi Salt Pans at Camp Kalahari, and then we'll hop on a little charter and head up to the Kwai Reserve, where we'll spend 3 nights at Machaba Camp. And then from there, head west to the sort of central Okavango Delta. So if you can imagine the delta like this, we'll be going from down here up there across and then very up to the top. We'll see a short or little map overview here in a bit. So from Machaba Camp, we go to Keri Camp in the heart of the Okavango Delta, and then from there through to our final stop of Okavango Explorers, up in between the Cylinder Spillway and the Northern Delta. So a little map here you can see, and this is a detailed overview of all of the places that we're going to, the dates that we're going to be there for, the number of nights, and all of that information. So our first stop is the Makgadikgadi Pans. It was essentially the heart of what was once a giant inland lake of the Kalahari Basin. And because of the years and years of ongoing evaporation and precipitation, it has created this extensive network, one of the largest in the world, of salt pans. So evaporation, precipitation. Evaporation, precipitation leaves this thin layer of salt, which is a huge buildup of nutrients in a desert environment. But it's very saline, but this only happens for a few months of the year. And so what we're going there is to hope to see the very end of a newly rediscovered, let's call it zebra migration, which they all come there in their herds in excess of sort of 40, 45,000, sometimes 50,000 zebra to graze on this nutrient-rich grass around these salt pans every year from sort of December to April, depending on the rainy season. And there we'll get an opportunity to go walking with some local indigenous people of the Kalahari region, the Sand people, also known for their ability to live in this extremely harsh environment. And so they take us on walks where we go digging for tubers and bulbs and looking for insects, looking for food, hear a little bit about their history and that. And then from there, you can see, as we go through here, you'll get an overview of the property, of the camp itself. So you can have a look through a couple of the photographs of what the camps look like, and then moving down the activities that we can expect there, and then the accommodations. So the lodge itself, the activities, the accommodations, moving through, having a look at the tents, having a look at what things are like on the ground, and then some of the highlights to expect, and then the facts about the camp. So you can go through your safari portal and you can check if every camp has electricity in the tents, or how many tents there might be in this camp, because you might want a completely intimate experience, or you might be okay with having other guests in the camp with you. Tells you that there's a swimming pool, there's Wi-Fi available, there aren't any hairdryers in the room. A lot of the camps that have almost entirely solar don't have hairdryers in the room. So from there, we then head up north and slightly east into the eastern Okavango Delta in the region of Kwai, and that is home for a couple of days. Hugely, very, very densely populated predator area and elephant area on the outskirts of the Okavango Delta, and home there for 3 nights is Machaba Camp. So as you can see there, we're staying in the heart of the Kwai concession, 35,000 hectares, gives a bit of an overview of the property, and then a little bit of the overview of the camp, what the camp looks like inside the mess area. Most of the camps in Botswana are tented, and if they are brick and mortar, they're in a little bit more permanent dwellings like in the Chobe or the Mashatu region. But for the most part, all of these camps are going to be tented on platforms made out of materials that are movable in and out of the property. So if migratory patterns change or the shift of spillways and slipways and waterways, they can then move the camp if they need to, or if this concession essentially gets the government decide no, they don't want to use this concession anymore, they want to use that concession, they can then pick up the camp. I mean, it's still extensive, but they can pick up the camp and move it. But that's sort of the style of camp that one can look forward to in Botswana. We can go on walking safaris, we go on makoros, on canoes, that sort of thing. There's a chance to hop on a boat at our next destination, and then also look at the luxury tent here that we've got at Mashaba Camp. So all very, very simple, but very elegantly designed, and with all the creature comforts you can imagine. So a little bit there about the activities. So at Mashaba Camp, you can go for a morning or an evening game drive, you can go for a walk, you can go on a makoro, and then as it is in Botswana, most of the camps are unfenced, or if they are fenced, it's a very small perimeter fence. You can just sit on your deck and watch wildlife come through. A lot of them are situated on waterways, so that's a huge bonus for this region. And then as we move down here, our third camp is Keri Camp, which is in the heart of the Okavango Delta. We're situated on the Keri Channel, which is where they get their name from, Keri Camp. And this is another one of the Mashaba properties. Now, we're here for 3 nights, and again, we can go through the look of the luxury tents that they have, as this safari is kind of geared to step up in luxury as we move through the trip. So Camp Kalahari is still very beautiful and very elegantly designed, but as then we move up through our camps, the level of luxury increases. So activities here, we can do another guided walk if we choose. We can go on makoros as well. It depends on the water levels, because this isn't strictly on one of the main channels like the Kwai is. So this area here is sometimes dry at certain times of the year. So it just depends on when you go. And then we head to, from here, we head all the way up north to the Okavango Explorers Camp, which has recently been renovated. And there you can go on a guided kayaking trip. You can go fishing if you want. You can go a bunch of activities. We can go on another walk. So all of these camps have been put together in an itinerary that flows with activities, so that every place has got the option of going out on a game drive, which is going to be the main activity at most of the camps. But then in the Kalahari, in the Makgadikgadi Salt, you're obviously not going to go on a makoro ride. But then we can go on guided walks, and we can go on walks through the Salt Pans, which you're not going to be able to do in the Delta. So all of those things allow us to then flow through this safari portal, having a look at the activities that we can do. And obviously, once you've gotten to the point of getting a safari portal link like this from us, we have, as an itinerary, we've booked it already. So we move through the stages, and this is the final stage. You put in all of the information, your passports, your this, your that, and then we give you this portal which has everything in it. So rather than stacks and stacks of papers of where you're going to go, how you're going to do information, having to go and source all the information from the various websites of the camps, everything here is in one central location. And then we have got, once you have your portal, we've gone through all of that, you're getting ready for the trip, you're coming out, you're excited. We're going to be there in April. I'm very excited about this trip. We planned it last year. And so when you have your portal, this is what we call the guest portal. So we just looked at the itinerary, going over all of the camps, the information about the camps, etc. Then when you go into your portal, this is something you can also download on your mobile device. So they've got an app now, which is fantastic. The integration is really simple and easy. We then go through this. You've got all of your flights that we break down. You've got your emergency contacts. So there's my number there, my email address. There's Jenna's. She is in charge of basically everything not guiding. She's our queen bee, let's call her. And then we go through all of the flights and transfers. So it shows you the notes on all of your flights, your baggage allowance, your that kind of thing, how long the stops are, exactly the flight numbers, what the airline is, etc. Now on an unguided trip, you'll have this information, but on a guided trip, as this one is, I'm going to be there with you throughout. So that'll give you, you can essentially sit back and not have to worry about anything or not have to think about anything. It shows everything here about all of the flights and transfers. This is staying in Botswana and we're catching flights from camp to camp to camp. But if you were catching a transfer from the Cape Town airport down into Camps Bay, for example, where we're staying, you would then have that information there saying you'll be picked up by a representative from this transfer company and they will take you for the hour and 5-minute drive down to Camps Bay from the airport. So all of the information needed, all easily accessible here in your flights and transfers. And then as you prep for the trip, you've got this little thing here called Prepare for Your Trip with Arc Earth. You can click on these drop downs of your passports and your visas. So what do I need as an American citizen going into South Africa and into Botswana? What I need in terms of travel insurance, what we recommend, a little link there to our travel advisor, and then an article based on travel insurance in Africa in 2023-2024. Your health and vaccines, what's needed, cash and credit cards, the different currencies that are in each of the countries that you're going to be visiting, and where you can draw money from, how that has all worked, the gratuities. This gives you an idea of how much is acceptable or how much is necessary, or not necessary, because the gratuities are it's completely discretionary, up to you. But this gives you an idea of the amounts for the different people that you might encounter. But on a guided trip, typically this is all included. So when we're booking the safari, when we're booking the trip, we will then go over this kind of stuff and say to the guests, to the travelers, hey guys, do you want us to include this? And then you really don't have to think about anything. We have this all in cash as we go, and we're handing it out to the staff, to that as necessary, so that you don't even have to think about it. Then we've got a packing list, which is season dependent, and this is something I will discuss extensively in another video. But it goes through all of the clothes that we recommend that you have that stick within the weight limits of all of the transfers and flights that we have, and then additional items that some people might want, just reminders of certain things like adapters. Most of the lodges do have adapters built in, but things like a headlamp or a flashlight if we're in a camp where you've got unlit parts at nighttime. Most lodges supply soap. And a lot of them are eco soaps because they run on septic tank systems. But if you have a particular shampoo or a soap that you prefer or that you need for medical conditions, that's something that we suggest to bring along yourself. Things like charcoal tablets. It's a great thing to have coming to a foreign country. You get a little bit of a gurgle in your belly, just pop a charcoal tablet. It's a lot easier on the system than something like Pepto or one of the gastro inhibitors, but it's just something that we throw in here to think about. Electrolytes, if we're going to be walking, if we're going to be here in summer. So if you're coming to Botswana between December and February, it gets hot. So electrolytes, something you might not think about, because when you're back home, if you're from the States or if you're from the Northern Hemisphere, that time of year it's freezing cold and you leave home and you get down here and it's sweltering hot. So just a couple of things to think about. Then that brings me to the next one of looking at the weather and it gives you an understanding and an idea of what to expect in the different regions, and each of these are tailor-made to every single itinerary. It's another one of the things that Jenna does behind the scenes, is she preps all of this portal, all of this information for you, just specifically customized for you. So you can see there, mid-April, Okavango Delta. It tells you what the weather is expected to be like. And again, it's weather. It's not, we can't control it. We can just tell you about it. Some of the times you arrive and there might be a cold snap in April. Sometimes you might get a heat wave in July. It really just depends. But this is just an example of what it is that we might encounter. And then a couple of our social media handles, and just where you can find us if you want to tag or post anything, and then some miscellaneous information. So the national language of South Africa, capital city of Botswana, safety, water, laundry, all of that sort of stuff. All of this comes down into our guest portal to get you ready for the adventure of a lifetime. So that's just a little understanding of what a 2-week trip in Botswana in the green season in April looks like, the camps that we like to use, the places that we go, how customized we can make this, and then getting you ready for a journey of a lifetime.